Jason's second lesson.
So today, first we're going to do a KWL because I want to know what you guys already
I got the idea of putting the daily plan up on the board from Aaron, who went right before me, and I did it because my cooperating teacher does it all the time, and I knew that I would incorporate this kind of scheduling in my classroom because students like to know what they're doing first, what they're doing second, what they're doing last, so that they can work towards a goal and they like kind of know how the class is going to be paced. But for some reason, I've never incorporated that into these mini lessons that I teach in class, and so I'm really glad that I did it here because I'll continue to do it in the future. Here I explain the KWL chart, and I tell them that K is what they want to know, W is what they want to learn, and L is what they've learned at the end of the unit. When we're talking about the W, I mention to them, I know that they want to learn things, because one of the big things skeptics have about KWL charts is that they say that during the W, everyone gets off task, because kids just say that they don't care about learning anything. These are the examples of the class filling in the KWL chart. So we start with the K. And one big reflection I have from doing this is I made my own on the board. And so I was up there in the front of the room, constantly with my back turned to the class. Luckily, I was teaching graduate students, so of course they weren't going to get out of hands behind me. But if that was a 6th grade room, you know, that would have given the students a lot of opportunities to, you know, get off task in a lot of different ways, to make, you know, faces at each other, or do whatever, just do something that's disruptive that I might not have picked up, especially as an early teacher, because I haven't grown the eyes in the back of my head yet. But a better idea of what to have done here would be to ask student volunteers to come up and to actually make the KWL chart on those like flip chart, big paper kind of deals, so that the students would be copying down the class notes from like what the class was saying, and I'd be able to be kind of leading discussion and keeping my eye on the class the whole time. And I even mentioned that I'm eventually going to make a new copy of this anyway, because I'm trying to jot down really fast and my handwriting is sloppy. But, you know, so in that case, if the students are up there doing it and if they spell things wrong or if their handwriting's sloppy, at least I'll be able to decipher what they mean, so that when I make the nice class copy to hang up for the duration of the unit, it's up there and, you know, the class can read it and understand it, and then in that way, while we were actually compiling it, I was able to keep my eye on the class the whole time.
Which means
another thing I talked about during this was a couple people used words that I thought might have been too big for the rest of the class. Christine at one point said improbable, and I made sure she clarified what she meant so that the class would know what was going on in case they didn't know what the word improbable meant. Also, Diana at one point said, Tall Tales explain things, and I had her elaborate on that, because explain things might not be enough information later to refer to for students to really know what's going on. Now we've moved on to the what people want to learn, and I said that, you know, I knew that if they really put their minds to it, they'd be able to think of things that they really wanted to know about Tall Tales. And we got a lot of good suggestions and opinions. And, you know, I mean, by the end of this right here, other people were still raising their hands, and that's why I said we can always come back to the W if they think of more things that they want to learn. And then at the end of the unit, we'll fill in the L section. So this is the part where I talk about what the different group projects can be, because I wanted to do a differentiated lesson where students had the opportunity to choose what they felt most comfortable with in order to present their own tall tale. When I was in 6th grade, we had the opportunity to write our own tall tale, but the only choice was to make a book, which is the first thing I explained. And I got to make a really nice hardback book and everything, but at that time I was much more interested in acting and making films and stuff, so I would have rather had a different opportunity to present my tall tale than by just simply writing a little book. But for people that are artistic, or for people that may want to become authors, or that they want something really tangible to be able to hold, you know, making a book is a great idea for some people in a class, especially for shyer people that wouldn't want to be up in the front of the class doing a skit or making a movie. But I'm even speaking about that. Some people might want to exercise their creative genes in the sense of like acting in a way. And but they don't want to do it right in front of the class. They're afraid that, you know, they might mess up, they might forget their lines, and that's why I give a skit as one option, and people can make costumes out of crafts, or they can make a movie, and that way they can film it, edit it, and do all that kind of stuff. Not in front of the class, and then just show the class the finished video so that they don't have anything to worry about. They know that they're not going to forget their lines. They know they're not going to mess up. But then on the other hand, students that aren't as technologically savvy, maybe they don't have their own video equipment, which hopefully actually the school has, so that we'll be able to just give all the students video cameras and editing software. But maybe some students really can't get the hang of it and don't know how to edit, so they prefer to just simply make costumes. Once again, out of props that the school is, materials that the school is supplying, not things that we're expecting the parents to buy. That way, they can do something without having technology kind of like bearing down on them and making them nervous in that sense. Or maybe like the fear that their movie won't work on opening day. If they just are acting it out in front of the class, they have nothing to worry about in that sense. I also had the idea of a podcast because that allows students to kind of do it. It's like the opposite of writing the book. Writing the book is something that they kind of also explain in front of the class. They write the book, they come up as the characters or as the authors. They show the class all the pictures they made, they read the tall tale as themselves or as the author. It's kind of like acting it out, but with the book there as a prop rather than writing it in a screenplay form. The podcast is its opposite, because it gives the opportunity for the students to write a book, but without pictures, without it actually being in a book format, and they get to just record their voice reading it, but doing it with a lot of passion, with a lot of exaggeration, like the original frontiersmen would have done out in the Old West when they were like telling it around the campfire. And I said that maybe while we were listening to the podcast, just so students have something fun to do with their hands, maybe we could all make s'mores and have like a kind of day where we're eating s'mores and listening around the campfire, listening to all of the tall tales and stories go on. But like I said, so that's everything I tried to give them like symmetrical equals. So the book and the podcast were kind of two different choices. Podcast is more technological, and also for more like shyer kids that don't want to come up in the front of the class and act. The book is more for artistic kids that are a little bit afraid of using technology and don't mind being in front of the class. Same thing with the skit in the movie. The skit is for more daring kids that may be a little bit worried with technology, and so they want to get up and act out their stuff, make sets with wallpaper and have it hang from the drop ceilings, and do something a lot more live rather than doing film. But then the film is great for the kids that really have an eye for cinema. They know how to do the camera angles, they know how to write a script and get their friends together, and maybe they want to film in places outside of the school to give them more realistic backdrops and everything, so that so that it looks more real and everything. But like I said, that requires a kind of technological savvy, but it's good for shyer kids. So everything has a symmetrical equal. At this point, I'm answering questions about the project. And like Sarah just asked if she was expected to do this at home or if we would have time in class. I would definitely give students time in class to do this, especially the writing and the revising of the stories, because we would do that all together as Writers' Workshop, where I was there to walk around and help them and conference with them and use some of their writing for mini lessons or for class models, so that, you know, we can all do this together, and so that students weren't expected to have video cameras outside of school, have, you know, editing software, the crafts to make costumes or props, just so that they knew that they could do this all in class. And if they wanted to go above and beyond, they could, you know, do it outside of school or do it at friends' houses and that kind of thing. Here I'm just kind of wrapping it up, talking about what they could include in their tall tale by maybe inserting themselves in it, maybe making it comical, including large exaggerations, trying to out-exaggerate everyone, maybe explaining phenomena that happened in the world, like how the Mississippi River was created, or how the Great Lakes were created, or how the Grand Canyon was created, and to make a really interesting tall tale and a character that can explain those kind of things and have a lot of fun in the process doing it, learning how to use hyperbole and exaggeration in a multimedia project that gets students working with different people and engaging in different kinds of tasks and sharing it all together. And not only does this help them with their reading and their writing skills, it's also going to help them with their ability to give oral presentations. Because even though some students will put in a video or put on their podcast, they'll still have to talk a little bit and explain it.
Okay?